I was born in Leeds and brought up in Leeds, and the Leeds environment. You know, your childhood seems magical because you don't know about the woes in life. You don't.
Big
know
up the
about,
Leeds man them though.
Big up the Leeds man them, like the whole of Leeds.
See.
Chapeltown was a foundation for the musical corner and the hub of the
CPT.
culture. Yeah. But big up the whole of Leeds, Headingley, big up Little London, my stomping grounds. And I think in Leeds, growing up, what became apparent to me is my first musical influences was without even realization. So my mum's at home and she's pumping Motown and Bashment. And then if we venture up the road...
Where's your mum from, brother? Sorry.
My mum's from Cumbria, which is border of England and Scotland.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and she's a bit of an OG in her. In fact, she's more of an OG than I could ever dream to be. I could only ever wish to walk in her shadow.
Oh, big up
Humbly.
big up mummy, big up mummy.
My mum, everyone in the ends knows her as Nanny Wendy. She's the Florence Nightingale of the ghetto. She really is all that and a
big
bag
up
of chips.
mummy, man.
Yeah, I could, you know, everything that I am, I'm only an inch of what my mum is. Like
Love you for that.
She's the real Gaza. She's the real, she's the real Gaza. But through my mum's upbringing in Leeds, I'll say, culturally, you don't really realise what's going on. You're just living in your little bubble in your childhood. And I remember in Leeds, like being on the front line and seeing around the times when the riots was kicking off, that in Hayfield, where there used to be a pub, which was the front line, and Chapeltown, they would block off the road. And it's kind of like, I suppose only some Jamaicans from Matches Lane, Spanish Town would know about blocking off the road. Like we used to block off the road like that in Leeds. Maybe that's where they learned how to do it. And so when we used to see that the police didn't have no firepower in Chapeltown, they ain't coming in. And the youngers would brick up the cars whilst the elders would like block burnt cars in the roads, and it would be our strip. And
how old was you these times?
This was from when my first observations started around 4 and 5 of what was going on. At the same time, we would go to the local church, learn how to make steel pan costumes for the carnival. My sister brought it to my attention one day. She went, "And you ever realise that we're only white kids on bus?" Like, no, but does that matter? And still went along there. And I think by the time I started getting my early grasp of my musical influences, obviously from my mum pumping reggae and soul, and I'm going into the Mandela Centre in Chapeltown and I'm listening to toasting and chanting. It's the early forms of DJ dancehall. Big up to Uroy, who's just passed away, the king of MC and the king of rapping, the king of dancehall, the king of chanting and toasting, the king, Uroy, just passed away, R.I.P., a man who got his flowers and deservedly so.
Rest in peace.
And I remember one time I'm there jamming and a new tune's come out and it was Smiley Culture, police officer, producer.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, I could go to Woolworths and buy this tune. So I've gone Woolworths with my little pocket money saved up and I bought Smiley Culture, police officer, don't give me producer. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to learn how to toast all of these lyrics word for word. I'm going to write down all of the bars.
Smiley Culture, he's used
Culture.
trying to rap now, you know.
Yeah, he's doing his thing.
Young
I'll always campaign for justice for Smiley Culture because we'll never accept the official police report of the outcome of Smiley Culture's tragic passing. Smiley Culture will always hold a light as one of my most inspirational MCs because he's the first record I bought of someone who I wanted to emulate. I wrote his lyrics down word for word. I turned it over on the B-side. They had this tune called Cockney Translator. So through that, I'm like, I'm a little Leeds boy, Yorkshire accent. Little beknownst to me, I'm being raised in a West Indian culture because I said that my bubble hadn't been burst. Started writing down all the words to Cockney Translator, learning how to chant and toast, and then put my own little twist on how to do my version of what they're doing, like my take on it. I'm slim, I'm trim, I'll ride the rhythm, I'll dash my rubbish in a bin. Some simple type of lyrics. And them times that I was 6 and 7, and I remember they wanted me to be in the school nativity play. And I was already like, this is played out. Like, this don't really cut it for me. I'll tell you what's really cutting it. Some things just come out called the Rubik's Cube.
What was that?
Some square and it just bust, just land. Like how every kid wants a PS5 right now.
What about the Rubik's Cube?
In my generation, you just wanted a Rubik's Cube. So I'd ask the teacher.
Skinny's old still.
Yeah, I'd ask the teacher, bun the school play, can I do this little rap about being a Rubik's Cube and that? And the teacher encouraged it. So I got to like pen my first lyrics about being a Rubik's Cube, and I was about 6, 7 then. Wow. And so I think, I don't know how music writing got into me, but I was heavily into the chanting and the toasting and the lyrical ability of how they was flipping their skills. And I wanted to do my own songwriting, did a little rap about Rubik's Cube, and then hip hop came out. And I think up until that point, being culturally observational, we had seen the skinheads versus the teddy boys, and the mods versus the rockers, and all different cultures, and then the Rasta man then with their Rasta movement, peace and love, and then the hippies with their peace and love, kind of in tune with what was going on culturally all around us. And then there was a new culture that was birthed right in our generation called hip hop. So what better for the kids of that generation? And I mean, it don't matter where you come from. I believe that kids in Leeds were getting the culture firsthand before other states in America were.
Is it?
Yeah, like, yeah, New York had it.
Okay.
But I think it was reaching London and Leeds and Manchester before it was reaching the West Coast of America. Reason being is because we had a immediate connection of capital city to capital city.
Okay.
The London and New York connection link up. And I think we was hearing old school MC Busy Bee sound clashes on cassette tapes that were coming to us in London and Leeds. And that would have been before other states in America were getting them outside of New York. So we firsthand had an immediate firsthand in the culture from New York directly, stemming from sound system. And I think that what birthed our right to own that culture as much as anyone else was that in New York it was birthed out of sound system culture, but in England the sound system culture was stronger than it had ever been in America. It was like second to Jamaica. So I think we felt that we have a right to hip hop more than anyone, or as equal as anyone, because we're more in tune with the roots of the dancehall culture than the Americans are. So getting into breakdancing and starting writing my little raps when people was rapping in a full-on American accent and going, and all stuff like that, just taken in by the culture, was around the time when my mum said, you're moving to London.
Okay.
So for me, I was like, oh, we're moving to London now. When I moved to London, I moved straight to Stoke Newton.
How old is you?
9.
Okay.
9, about to go on 10. And you go from being in primary school to middle school to high school in Leeds.
Okay.
So I think at about the age of 7 or 8, you go into middle school. That's the age that you start learning your second language. That's the age that you start learning what you do when you become a year 7 first year in secondary. So there's almost, you can say that the schools up north were 2 years ahead of the education curriculum in London. I've come in, they're telling me I'm going to be a 3rd year in primary. I'm going, no, I'm meant to be going into 2nd year middle school. They're like, no, you're 3rd year primary, then you got to do 4th year primary, then you become a 1st year in secondary. I'm like, so when do we start learning French and them things there? Because I've been doing all of that for a year. They say, no, you don't learn that for another 2 years. I think immediately I was like, 1 minute, London schools are dance.
Yeah.
School is dance, and they ain't got nothing for me. I remember they gave me the reading test, and they said, oh, you have the reading capacity of a 13-year-old. And oh yeah, your education's here and your grammar and rah. And I was like, so what you're telling me is you lot are dance. So I was kind of like, well, school ain't got nothing for me. When I'm chatting to the kids on the playground, like, what, do you lot bunk off? They're like, no. I'm like, where's the big shops where we can go teething? In Leeds, I was already a thief. I'd already shoplifting A-Team and He-Man and got took to Millgarth police station as a youth. My mum had to come bail me out, trying to clap things, getting caught by the store detective and all that. And in Leeds,
doing up social behaviour.
I'm not even
going to call it antisocial, just being very social.
In Leeds, there was a cycle of the elders who would clap their cars and do their move in them, then leave them to the youngers who would like raff them up. And then after the youngers had raffed them up, there was us kids to go, so how does it work? Figure out how to drive it for ourselves when you could just about see over there. So when I've come to London, I'm like, yeah, you lot teeth cars and all that. They're like, no, we don't know about teething cars. I'm like, so you don't know about teething cars, you don't go clapping. You don't go earning. And when we had come to London, my mum had brought me, 9 years old, my sister who was 4 years older than me, so she was 13 going on 14, And my brother, who's 7 years younger than me, so he just turned 2. Single parent, no money in the house, not knowing what we're going to do. I'll never try ask nor question my mum's reasons for why she moved us to London. That's her business, wear her baggage, and she brought us with her. I will never regret the opportunity that she gave us, because by coming to London, I felt and realising that school didn't have nothing for me. I then realised like the world is my oyster and London is my playground. My mum's kind of laid back and eased up still and understands that we got to do what we got to do to get through.
Simple.
And eat. And with being the eldest boy in the household and there being 4 hungry mouths in the household at the age of 9, 10, you better know childhood was over right there.
Mad.
That's childhood ended. Big man thing started right there. Last money my mum had, she sent me to Stoke Newton High Street. This is our first day we come to London. This is why only Spray will ever get this. First day come to London. She give me her last £10 to go get a Kentucky bucket from Stoke Newton High Street.
Go on, mummy.
I'm coming back. Bucket in my arm like this. And she used to say, yeah, where you going from that bucket there?
You chain.
Yeah.
You for the bucket.
Listen, and I don't know, what you want about my big Leeds accent, what you want about? They're like, yeah, no, come on, I'm having some of this chicken. Started taking the chicken out, like, yo, this is on top. Like, this is all we have. Like, it's on top. I remember, like, thinking, I've got to fight for him, all right, against these big tree youths. Started fighting them now. One had a chain, I kind of like it. This is chain, because I knew that my mum used to take gold to the pawn shop and that used to produce money. You know, you don't know nothing, but you're making sense of it. Mummy takes gold to the pawn and comes back with money. My man's trying to mash up the chicken, but he's got a gold chain. Take that. So I've had to go back home and say, Mum, I got rushed for the chicken, you know, and it's all over the floor. She's like, that was our last tenner that we had. What, you know, that was our last tenner. I went, I got this though. She went, well, we'll get about 30 quid for that. I was like, yeah. The same youths that robbed me, about 2 years later, must have had an eye for my sister, innit? And they're going to Stoke Newton secondary school. And they've come round to my mum's house. And I've come in one day and I've come and I look and I walk in and I see on the sofa, ice cream, I see the brother. And he's like, and his bedroom, he's like, you cool? I'm like, I'm not cool.
You don't remember eating chicken?
I was like, Mum,
Eat the chicken.
Because I know my mum is God, my mum is right, I died.
Your mum's about it.
Listen, she's about this.
Yeah, you're making your mum eat up the chicken, you know?
Mum, remember I told you that he took my chicken? That's the guy who took the chicken. She's like, yeah. And he was like, yeah, no, trust me. No one can't trouble you in the manor. I'm like, no one can't trouble me in the manor. You troubled me.
He took my chicken.
Scarred me for life on my first day in London. Like, what's going on? My second observation after that, I met a guy called Darren Baffonge who